Today, I want to tell you the story of George Land. George Land in the 1960s was recruited by NASA to create a study, a survey, a test, a quiz, if you will, on how to find out creative genius, how to find creative genius in the American society. And he did this. He created the survey, gave it to 280,000 people. But remember, at the time, it's the space race. Like NASA needs the best of the best. And they do this survey to try to identify how to find people that are really, truly creative geniuses that can help NASA in their mission of going to the moon and exploring space. He does this. Land puts this study together, and the folks at NASA want the right people in the right seats. They're looking to figure this problem out. So George Land puts it together. He does this survey, this test, this quiz. He gives it to 280,000 Americans. And they identify that 2% of the American population is a creative genius. 2% of the American population is a creative genius and 98% are not. And this is exactly what NASA needed to know. They needed to find a quiz to find those creative geniuses. So when Land finishes his work at NASA, he gets his next job over at the Head Start program. Now, if you're familiar with Head Start, that's the preschool program here in the United States. And Land decides, I think I'm going to give this test to these kids too and see what happens. And here's what Land discovers. According to his discoveries, children that had not yet reached school age of 5 years old, 98% of them would qualify to work at NASA. By the age of 10, only 30% would. By the age of 16, just 12%. And by the time they got out of the school system, just 2% of us maintained that creative genius. Whoa. What happens between the age of 5 and maybe like 23, 24 when we become adults? You ever wonder about that? Something about the system causes us to lose that creative genius that Land discovered. Think about it. I want you to take a baby, if you've got one or you've ever seen one. You put them in the sand, you put them into the dirt with a stick, and what do? They immediately begin to draw things in the sand. Ever notice this? Put your baby at the counter with some crayons or markers and a blank sheet of paper. What will they do? Well, they will draw circles, they'll draw lines, they'll draw little connections. And every parent knows this, but psychologists just recently figured it out, that when kids start to obtain language and you ask them what those things are, they know, well, that's grandma, that's puppy, that's grandpap, that's daddy. They are connecting things in their brains before language develops. The way human beings are connecting things and understanding the world is by drawing and connecting, something that we don't do very much anymore. And these kids, like I said with the psychologists, who knows? They could be making physics equations, but this idea of playing in the sand, right? Getting into the sand and drawing things out and seeing their connections, it's a very core piece of the system, the things that I teach here at the Process Fixer. If you've ever watched your favorite, I guarantee your favorite movie, your favorite show, detective show, anytime they're trying to solve a crime, there's always this wall. Why? Because we are visual learners. This is how our brains, the earliest stages of development of the human brain are this, making connections. Yet at work, we use PowerPoint and Excel. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Our brains developed to use imagery, but yet we don't use imagery at work. I wonder if that's why we have such a terrible failure rate. The other thing is that we spend a lot of time at work like this, face to face. That's a negotiating position. That is me trying to get my way and you trying to get your way. The real way to accomplish things and build things together as a team is through shoulder friction. Actually standing together at a wall, looking at something that's happening and identifying the challenges with it and working together as a team to map their way around it. To navigate the business, you have to be able to look at that thing up on the wall together, because you can't fix what you can't see. And that's really what we're talking about here. Years ago, we used to be able to do this, but now with work from home, we can't. Many years ago, do you remember there was an inbox and an outbox on everybody's desk? I could walk into your office and I could see how busy you were. I could see how things were flowing through the organization. I could look at marketing and then sales, operations, project management, service, warranty. I could watch the flow of objects through the business. I could see where the bottlenecks were. I knew how much work, how behind a department was. I knew where I needed to put resources. I can't do any of those things anymore. I am totally and completely blind to the work because the work is now on a computer. It's not on the desk. And that's a real challenge because that means that we've got to get back to being able to see it. And how do we do that? We do it with process mapping. Check out our website. There's a free course over there to learn a little bit about our process mapping technique, but we've got some other stuff too that's pretty cool. You can learn all about how to visualize work and how to get people coming together with shoulder friction, both online and in person, and working together as a team to try to find the best approach to make the most efficient path in your organization that makes you the most profit with the easiest way to get the work done as possible.